We now go to the city of Angels, Los Angeles, where Greg Wrubell, the voice of the Cougars, now joins us to preview the matchup between the Cougars and the Leons. What's up, Greg? How you doing, man?
Morning, Jarom. Morning, Tyler.
Hey,
Great to be with you both.
Okay, we're stoked for this game day because obviously the final 5 regular season games matter a ton. How you feeling about this situation, Greg, given the last 4 games have not gone well, but BYU with the chance to right the ship starting tonight?
Yeah, it's been a good series for BYU. The Cougs have won 15 of the last 16 against LMU, and the Lions aren't coming on any kind of roll. They've lost 5 straight. Pacific had lost 7 straight. Let's keep that in mind. They were on a losing streak too, and we're kind of desperate to get that win against BYU, which they did. Tonight we have 2 equally desperate teams as BYU looks to prevent a 5-game regular season losing streak for the first time in 24 years. That's a long time. That was Mark Durant and I. That was our first season together.
Whoa.
So we're in our 25th season together right now. In our first season together, that was the last year that BYU had a 5-game regular season losing streak. So it's time to end this right now. And so BYU and LMU, 2 teams just, scratching and clawing for success at this point. Of course, the stakes are much greater for BYU than LMU. I mean, they've had a sub-500 season. Postseason's not a thing. BYU's trying to stay in the bracket. So the Cougars will be highly motivated to get this one back on the winning track and hopefully finish this season with a flourish, because the schedule opens up for BYU right now. 4 of the last 5 are against the 9th and 10th place teams in the West Coast Conference. And, of course, the one in the middle, the big game, we'll probably talk about or allude to a little bit. That St. Mary's game looms particularly large as BYU looks for one more resume boost to that postseason portfolio.
Yeah, I'm with you, Greg. I still feel like BYU has a lot to play for. Do you think tonight is about just winning the game, or is it more in how they win and the style of their win?
Yeah, I'm in Al Davis mode on this one. Just win, baby. Gotta get the dub, however it happens. It's life on the road in conference play, and the WCC is. It's kind of silly to talk about sometimes because of how dominant Gonzaga is right now. They're laying waste to the entire league. So could both things be true? Could the league be better and Gonzaga still be a 20 to 30 point a night winner in this league? Yes, I think so. Portland's a good example of that. Portland, I thought after they played BYU, they'd get somebody at some point, somebody good. And then they knocked off USF the other night and really were maybe a missed free throw away from sweeping USF this season. So, Portland's a good example of how things are picking up. And even LMU, they were picked to finish right behind the big 3 this year. It was Gonzaga, BYU, St. Mary's. LMU was the 4th place pick. Now, they've underperformed, but the thought was with the talent they had, the coaching they had, they could bring it up a notch. So I think top to bottom, it is a better league. Santa Clara, great evidence to that as well with good coaching. So all that being said, life on the road in the WCC isn't easy for anyone but Gonzaga. All right, Gonzaga wins every game they're supposed to win in this conference, but it's been, full of potholes and pitfalls for a lot of other teams this year.
And it's really interesting, Greg, to look at, what seed BYU could be. It's going to be hard to know with KenPom adjusted win percentage, which inevitably is going to show up because they aren't going to make up all these games in the last 3 weeks, how exactly BYU can climb into perhaps the top 4 there. I don't know about you, but I feel like if BYU goes into Vegas as a 5 seed, it's going to be real tough to make the NCAA tournament because you're going to be on Gonzaga's side of the bracket. You won't have that kind of semifinal quad 1 opportunity. You would against the Zags, of course, but if you win that, boom, you're in the NCAA tournament. But if you don't, you're in trouble. So it feels like BYU needs to be top 4 going into Vegas. How do you feel about that?
Well, BYU's never been lower than 3, right? And let's credit the BYU program for over these 10 plus seasons never having been lower than a 3 seed in Vegas, never having been worse than 3rd place in this conference over a decade as well. So very consistently performing, BYU's been in the West Coast Conference. Seeding right now is so wide open. The only thing we know or think we know is that Gonzaga is a lock at 1. But I look at the rest of the teams ahead of BYU or between BYU and Gonzaga in the WCC standings, and here's what I notice. St. Mary's has 3 games left against Gonzaga, San Francisco, and BYU. Santa Clara has 2. San Francisco has 2. San Diego has 3. So all the teams between BYU and Gonzaga have 2 or 3 games against the other top tier teams. BYU has just the one against St. Mary's. So there's room for BYU to move because it has the softer, if you will, schedule down the stretch where the other teams will be knocking each other off a little bit. So let's look at that and realize that BYU has just the one top tier game left, and other teams have to do a little tougher sledding down the stretch. So there's some room to move with BYU's seeding. Now, the flip side of that is if the 9th and 10th place teams BYU's facing twice each, LMU and Pepperdine, kind of stay where they are, BYU's not going to get as much bang for the buck with the adjusted win percentage as it would playing those other teams. So that's what makes it so uncertain. Having said all of that, you know, BYU's had these experiences in Vegas where they play their first game against a team that's had 1 or 2 games already. And oftentimes those teams having played 1 or 2 games give BYU a great game or win that game. And so maybe, you know, a different perspective for BYU this time around, if they don't reach that 2 or 3, could be beneficial and that let BYU can get on kind of a roll, kind of a grind back in the old Mountain West days where you were guaranteed, you know, to play 2 or 3 games. There weren't double and triple buys. That kind of gets you in that tournament mode. And I know, Ty, you probably loved, you know, that tournament vibe of going in and kind of laying it out there and say, let's go win 3 and win a title. It didn't happen that way, but there was that real, you know, kind of motivation of knowing you have multiple games in a very short span of time. And that's kind of fun to think about too.
Yeah, there's a sense of urgency, right? In any tournaments, like, let's go win this thing. Greg, you've seen a lot of teams, covered a lot of basketball games. You know, there's teams that always start out, you know, on fire and have a really good first half of the season and then fall off the second half. Maybe they overperformed. There's injuries, number of reasons, but I don't feel like that's the case with this team. I think there's obviously some adjustments that need to be made, and they're in a tough stretch right now. But what, in your mind, has changed the last couple of weeks with this team and specifically these 4 games?
Well, it's about efficiency, really, and I look at the assist to turnover number as an indication of how efficiently you're performing. And in BYU's wins this year, they're about 1.3 to 1 in assist to turnover. And in BYU's losses this year, they're about 0.7 to 1. They're almost half as efficient in that particular measure. And that's just one of many, but that kind of indicates where they are right now in terms of flow. Plus, you know, during this 4-game skid, they're simply not shooting it well. You know, they're a sub 40% team from the field in this 4-game losing streak. And in fact, on the year, they're a sub 40% team in all of their losses. So sometimes it's not terribly difficult, you know, to pinpoint a reason, but I will say this, of the top 8 players in the rotation, let's say, you probably got about half the guys that are performing, you know, kind of at, near, or above expectation. And you got probably half the guys who are probably below their level of expectations personally and externally. So if you can get, you know, those halves to come closer to the middle and meet or bring that bottom half up a little bit, you know, that's where you get BYU playing some of its best basketball, where you're beating Oregon, where you're going to Missouri State and winning that game. They've had great wins because they've got great players. And when those players are closer to the same page in terms of expectation level, that's when BYU's been at its best. It's possible to do what needs to be done here down the stretch. They have the players to do it. Coach Pope talks about, you know, reinvention, you know, reinventing this team again. And reinvention rarely happens by putting the exact same pieces back together the exact same way. So we should expect, you know, some kind of modifications here down the stretch to see what they can come up with to get the most out of those guys. And again, getting them approaching, you know, similar levels of expectation and performance.
And we'll see what that modification looks like, whether it's the form of certain lineups, like you mentioned, that possibility, or modifications within the offense and the dribble handoff and the variations of that, which we were talking about. So let's talk about this, Greg. How close is BYU to fixing this thing? Because it is, last week obviously didn't go well against 2 tournament teams right now, but the week before that it was a 1-point loss and a 3-point loss. And it just felt like it really unraveled despite these close margins. Q4 against Pacific's bad, I know. But how close do you feel like BYU is to correcting this?
Yeah, the only real black mark, you know, was the Pacific game in this stretch, even though it's been a tough stretch. And yet there was Pacific, right, leading USC by 13 in the second half the other night. Pacific should have held on for a win over the number 21 team in the country. So if Pacific's good enough to lead USC on its home floor by 13, you're dealing with a team with some capability. And so even though it's a Q4 loss, it's a team, and again, speaks to the level of talent in the WCC that's come up a little bit. So having, talked about Pacific being the black mark, BYU has two Q1s or two Q2s and a Q1 loss in this 4-game skid. So they're not terrible losses by metrics, but it's more the cumulative effect of how it's wearing on the team's mentality. And really, if they just finish those 46 seconds at Santa Clara, we're probably not talking about the state of the program or the state of the team the way we are right now. I almost feel like that final 46 seconds at Santa Clara, semi-resulted in a hangover loss on the weekend at Pacific, and then you're back to play two really good teams against USF and Gonzaga, and we know how good both those teams are. So maybe they're 46 seconds away from just being where they thought they would be right now and expected to be. So it's just such a thin, very narrow margin of how close they are as opposed to how close they want to be. I think it's still possible to end up where they want to be, like Tyler said back in the NCAA tournament. Just because you've had these 4 straight losses doesn't take away 9 Q1, Q2 wins. That's still a part of your resume. Yeah. That's still who you are. That says tournament team. The current 4-game skid, gives people doubt. But, 4-game skids can be overcome. UCLA lost its last 4 games going into the NCAA tournament this past spring. And we know how that turned out for the Bruins, just to use an example. Or use a BYU example. Last time BYU lost 4 in a row in the regular season, they played in the NCAA tournament that season. So it can be done, and this team can turn it around.
Yeah, it's wild. That 9 number with Q1, Q2 just screams tourney team, right? It just screams it.
Right.
But we're prisoners of the moment sometimes, or it's fair. Like the way BYU's trending is bad, but if BYU wins the next 5 or even 4 of the 5, yeah, and I want to ask you this. Yeah, and let's finish with this. Do you feel like BYU has to win in St. Mary's to be going into Vegas? Because, yeah, you want the best seed you can get. You want a nice quad 1 road game, but it just feels like that win is going to really turn the season perhaps.
Well, I feel if you do finish with 5 consecutive regular season wins, including a win at St. Mary's, you solidify your spot. But I don't think it's an imperative, because I think it's tough to talk about imperatives right now because you just don't know what's happening on the other side of the bubble. You just don't know who you're competing with yet, right? You can't say what it's going to take until you let conference tournament week play out and see what's exactly happening on the bubble and how many at-large bids are being gained. The 9 number is strong, and BYU is going to hang on to that 9 Q1, Q2 number. If they were to get to double digits, before Vegas, that is beating St. Mary's, well, I think you're golden at that point. But I don't know that you have to do it. I think in my back of my mind, I've got 23 as a number. That's a good number to be at before Selection Sunday. That means 6 more wins. You're at 17 right now, right? So 6 more wins, could be 4-1 to end the regular season, a couple of wins in Vegas. I like 23 or more as a number that might get BYU where it wants to be. But again, that's kind of speculation, not knowing what's happening with the other teams with whom BYU is competing. And that's a big part of this thing too, is how many other bubble teams will be as attractive as BYU in that Q1, Q2 category. Yeah, you really wish there wasn't a Q4 loss that kind of, is going to be in maybe some comparison shopping, that Q4 loss might be a difference maker. But all that said, BYU's done enough over the number of games it's played to be strongly considered. And there has to be consideration too for, the injury and sickness factor and other things that have kind of contributed to some of these losses BYU's had this year. And those all show up in the discussions with the committee.
23andMe presented by BYU to the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. Let's hope so.
Who knows?
Greg, we appreciate the time. Have a great call tonight in LA.
Thanks, Greg.
Always good to be with you guys. Thanks. Have a good one.
Greg Wrubell from LA. You can listen to the broadcast tonight starting at 10 Eastern time with Cougar Pregame Live. Games at 11 Eastern.
Let's go.